Okay, hello, welcome back to our videos on Scratch and Scratch environment. Okay, let's go straight into today's activity. Now, if you can remember, the last time I made a video, we talked about the Scratch environment, talked about our sprites, categories, backdrop categories, the stage, the backdrop, the code categories, and the code blocks. Now, if I remember properly, I showed you how to get your sprites. Come here, we get a sprite, right? I showed us also how to change our backdrop, add a picture to our games, right? So let's just use something beautiful like okay, let's use party, right? This is a code, this is a backdrop. So last time we did all this. So today we'll focus more on the code blocks and the code categories. All right, so let's just go straight into it. Now, if you look here, the first code category we have is motion. Under motion, let me explain motion. Now, motion, these blocks, they control the movement and the positioning of sprites on the stage. Okay, now this move 10 steps enables your sprite to move 10 steps. Turn 15 degrees enables your sprite to turn 15 degrees. I'll give you an example. Now let me add my green flag. Now move 10 steps, right? Let me also add it here. Okay, now if I click on my green flag, as you can see, my sprite is turning 15 degrees towards the right. If you notice on this 15 degrees, it has a right arrow pointing towards the right. Okay, so it's turning towards the right. That's what turn 15 degrees is for. It makes your sprite turn. Okay, now let's take this back. We are done with some of the blocks in motion. Now go to run position simply means letting your sprites go to anywhere at all on your stage. Okay, we have the glide. Glide is for smooth movement of the sprites to any part of the stage. Okay, we have the glide, we have points in direction, we have point towards, we have change x by, we have set x to, we have change y by. All these blocks, they help us in movement of our sprites. Whatever thing that requires movement of sprites, you get it in motion. All right, now let's go over to looks. Now looks, these blocks, they change the appearance and visual effects of our sprites. For instance, whatever thing at all that has to do with how your sprite appears, how it looks, how it behaves, or the mannerisms of your sprite, you get them in looks. All right, for instance, this switch costume, right? This switch costume block, it helps to make your sprite change its position. Let me give you an example. We'll come to events, get when green flag is clicked, right? When flag is clicked, and then we click the green flag. Let's see what happens. As you can see, when you click the green flag, she has switched her costume. She has changed her position to something else. So let's try next costume also. Next costume is also about how she moves. That's our ballerina. We click here. Can you see? So looks, everything on looks shows you how and why your sprite behaves the way it's behaving. Okay, so if you want your sprite to behave any type of way, you can get that thing you're looking for in looks. Now we go over to sound. Sound is as simple as it sounds. Sound is just to add sound to your game. All right, for instance, all the games you play like Subway Surf, they have background sounds, right? Background music that adds a kind of vibe to your game. Okay, that's what sound is for. So to get sound, you come to your sounds and you click on it. I don't know if you can hear the sound coming up already. Okay, so we come to sounds up here, and then we click on this place and choose a sound. We have different kinds of sound. We have something on music, we have animals, we have effects, we have loops, different kinds of sounds that can fit into whatever thing you're trying to create in Scratch. Okay, so that's it about sound. This is where you can get different kinds of sounds you want. All right, now let's go back. come back to codes. Now the next thing we have is the events block. Now if you notice, while I was trying to explain to you some blocks in motion and in loops, I came to events and I got this block. Events is like the main thing that makes your games come to life. Okay, these blocks, all the blocks in events, they trigger actions based on certain events, such as when the flag is clicked, or when the sprite is clicked, or when the backdrop switches, or whatever thing you want it to be. Now when flag is clicked, automatically means that whatever codes I have under this block will only be executed when I click on my green flag. So no matter what you code and code and code and code and code, and you don't put this block on top of everything you're doing, it can't work, because this block is what commands it to work based on the flag. Now when space key is pressed, we have up arrow, down arrow, right, left, A, B, we have letters, we have numbers, right? Now this also means that you can decide that no, your game, you want it to start by using arrows, you don't want to start by using the green flag. It's awesome, it's beautiful. Or you want to say, oh, I want my game to start by using my space key. You know your space key, the longest key on your keyboard, right? This is where you can do that. So everything in events, it triggers actions, okay, depending on how you want it to look like. You know, Scratch helps you to become very creative. So depending on how you want your game to look or appear, you do that based with your events block categories. All right, let's just run along. Now we have control. Okay, now control, these blocks, they control the flow of program. Now if whatever thing you want to do in Scratch, yeah, and you want it to be a certain type of way, you want to control its movement. For instance, I can say, okay, let ballerina dance for only 10 times. What do? I'll use my repeat block, I'll get my looks, I'll get next costume, right, next costume, and I'll add my when flag is clicked, because that's the most important aspect of our game. Now when I click on my green flag, can you see she only danced how many times? 10 times. It's too fast, right? Now let's add a wait 1 second block. This wait 1 second means, okay, let her wait for some time before she dances like that again. All right, now I click on my green flag. As you can see, she's changing her costume. If you count with me, you realize that she does it 10 times. So everything you have in control is just to control the flow of how your game is, the flow of your program. We have conditional statements. All right, these statements are if then else, you understand? So it gives you a flow of how you want it to look like. I hope I'm making sense. If you have a question, please ask in class. All right. Now we have sensing. Now these blocks detect and respond to various conditions and inputs, such as keyboard inputs or interaction. Example, now this block called touching color, right, or touching mouse pointer, right? For instance, in your Subway Surf, yeah, whenever the character is running and he touches a bomb, what happens? He explodes, or it's game over, right? So now this is how you get something like that. I can try to say, okay, whenever Cat is touching ballerina, yeah, when touching sprite 1, when touching the cat, game over. So depending on what you want to do with your game or how you want to create it, sensing is what allows you to respond to various conditions in your game or your Scratch, right? Let's run along. Operators is perform everything mathematical and logical operations like addition, subtraction, comparison, you know, greater than, less than, multiplication. This is where you can get it. Okay, that's in your operators. Now variables. Under variables, we have, these are blocks that allow you to create and manipulate variables. That is to store data, to retrieve data. For instance, if your game has to, for instance, you want, okay, after this happens, let me win 1 point or 10 points or 20 points. Is in variables that you can be able to do that. Okay, and then that's it. Now my blocks, this my blocks is just for you to customize whatever thing you want to customize, but we're not doing that today. All right, so let's go back. Motion is about movement. Looks is about how you want your sprite to behave. Sound is about sound, music, sound, whatever thing you want to make it sound like. Event is what controls your game, okay, how you want it to start. All right, control helps us to control the flow of the program, control the flow of your game or the program or the thing you're trying to create or your project, right? Sensing, what does sensing helps us to detect and respond to conditions and input. Operators, whatever, anything mathematical, you want to add, you want to subtract, you want to divide, everything is operators. Variables is to store points, to store data, to score points, and what have you. So that's it for today. I'll give you an assignment. Your assignment today would be to memorize the code blocks in the following categories and understand how they are used. Okay, we have control, sensing, operators, and variables. I want you to memorize these 4 blocks. Memorize the blocks under these categories: control, sensing, operators, and variables. Let me say it again: control, sensing, operators, and variables. So memorize all the blocks under these code categories. All right, and in the next class we're going to talk about it. If you have any questions when you see your tutors in class, please ask them questions. All right, so till then, thank you very much for your time. Have a nice day and bye.